Hi friends, it's Becky, and I have a really quick project for you using some of the beads from the Sam's Bead Box Citrus Celebration box. This was the August box. It was curated by Deb Floros. It is full of bright and vibrant citrusy colors, and I love it for that. And I'm not normally an orange person, so the fact that I love this means that, like, they did it just right, just perfect for me. So what I've pulled out is several of these light colored leaf beads. I have a few of these polymer clay grapefruit slices, and then some of these 2-color Czech glass cube beads, and some of these daisy pearlescent beads. I'm going to be using some of the 11-Os from this bead mix that came in the box to make my focal. And I'm also going to be using this resin. Is it resin? I think it is. But it's this this charm here, this pendant. I'm going to add the little heart that came with it because it's Deb, and Deb loves all of these things. And then I'm going to use another one of these guys in my focal as well. Now, for stringing it, I went into my carefully hoarded stash of discontinued soft flex colors and pulled out this yellow lemon color of soft flex to string it on, just because I feel like it's just going to be perfect to have a lemon yellow beading wire with all that gold beading wire would work just as well for this. And then I'm also going to be using the 20 gauge wire for the focal part. And I also dug through my SilverSilk stash and I cut a couple of lengths of this pearlesque chain, and the pearlesque chain is this gold ball chain with a layer of this iridescent tinsel over it, covered and coated by this knit jacket of this orange wire. And so this is just going to be a really great tie-in for that. I have some SilverSilk cord ends. They're pinch cord ends that I'm going to be using for attaching my strung portion to that. So I'm just going to set these aside for now. I've got some jump rings and a lobster clasp for closures. And let me move these guys just a little bit further aside so that they're not confusing the camera while I'm showing you the wire working that we're going to be doing. So I'm just moving these guys a little bit more out of the way, and let's go over tools for working with wire. I have some round nose pliers, some chain nose pliers, and then some flush cutters. And then I like to use my wide nose pliers like this for managing my SilverSilk findings because they fit really nicely in there, and then I don't even have to move them. I can just give them a little squish when I'm ready to attach it. So I'm going to be using these for that. For my beading wire, I have some 2x2 crimp tubes and my magical crimper because that is my favorite way of crimping. Alright, so let's get, okay, we've got those out of the way. Let's get these set up. Oof, here we go. And I'm just spilling out some of these seed beads. And I'm going to do basically a link, and the lower part of my link is going to have a larger loop, so it can go through this and also accommodate this. So let's make that larger loop now with my 20 gauge wire. A couple of inches down from the top. I'm going to bend this over. And I'm going to select a spot on my round nose pliers that's closer to the handle and not the tip, because that's going to give me a larger loop than doing a loop closer to the tip would. So it's not all the way at the end, but it's about, I'd say maybe 3/4 of the way towards that, or 1/4 of the way away from it. I can pull the wire around the top of it, open my pliers and rotate them, and then continue wrapping it around the end so I have myself a nice little loop there. And this should be enough of a loop, an opening that I'll get some good dangling on that. I'm just twisting this to the side like you would with a jump ring to open it so that I can get these guys on there. I want the heart first, and then this guy. And now I'm gonna close my loop and wrap it 1, 2 times. All right. I'm just gonna cut that off there so that I can work on the rest of this here. And I'm going to pick up one of these pearly beads, a gold bead, and then slide this guy on like this. And then another gold bead. And these are the 11-Os. Gold bead, and then the white luster bead for the top, just like that. And now I want to make another loop up here, but I want this one to be kind of a smaller loop. Gonna need a little bit of space for wrapping up at the top. So I'm gonna bend that back over the top of my chain nose pliers so that I've got some space between that last bead and where my loop is going to be. I'm gonna hold it closer to the end so that I have a smaller loop, because I don't need a very large loop on this part. It's going to be strung on some beading wire. So it just needs to be large enough for a beading wire to go through. And that is more than enough room. This is getting a little bit in the way when I'm wrapping this part. That's okay, you can go slow and move around it. Where am I going? Yep. I want this to end up in the back. Like that. Give that a little smush. Give that a little smush. All right, and so this is my dangle right here in the middle. I'm gonna actually leave some of these out because I think I might pick some of them up along with at least the gold beads while I'm stringing my beads along. So I'm gonna leave those in a little pile there, but I am going to be using these as some spacers, these guys. So let's get my stuff in order again. I had it all laid out before. I think what I wanted was one of these on either side of the thing. Was this between like all of them? I can't remember how I was doing it. Yes, that was on there. This was on here. This was in between, I think, all of them. I might have had it in a different order earlier, but I think I like this order. That might be the same order that I had it in before. This is why you don't move stuff out of the way, Becky. But yeah, so I'm just going to start from this end and string them on my beading wire. And I'm going to pick up a gold. I'm mostly going to be using the gold ones from here. I could separate them out, but why? All right. And then gold again here. For this one. Then white. Daisy spacer. And then this one and white daisy spacer. And then this one again. Yeah, I like that. I like that. It's going to be good like that. And gold leaf gold. And then one of these white daisy spacers. And then this like lozengey guy. This table cut bead. Another one of these. And then gold leaf gold. Gold leaf gold. And I'm just trying to make sure I'm going through the leaves in the same orientation and the same direction each time so that they aren't flipped around and hanging differently from one to the other. This is crossing in front of me like that, and that's getting a little bit awkward. All right, so now I need a cube bead, daisy, my grapefruit slice, a daisy, cube bead, and then we're going gold, leaf gold, and I'm going to do a couple of these daisy spacers sandwiching, being on either side of my focal. Like this. It feels like it might be a little bit on the busy side, but I like that about it. I like that it's kind of busy. I like that there's a lot going on. It makes it feel like fun. It's a very Carmen Miranda kind of a vibe with all of the different fruit all clamoring for attention. You know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you gotta clamor for attention, man. All right. So I'm just stringing it up so that this side mirrors that side. And I'm gonna concentrate because I know I will miss stuff if I don't. What happens, I'll get off on a little tangent and I'll be talking about stuff and then I'll be like, wait a minute, I forgot this. Which I think some of you might live for. You enjoy watching me miss stuff and have to go back, don't you? Admit it. Admit it. It's part of your Becky watching experience. Alright, I am almost done with this part. And once I'm done with the stringing and we get it attached to the SilverSilk findings, the rest of putting it together will go by pretty quickly. It's one of the things about using SilverSilk that I enjoy so much is that it does a lot of the work for you. And then you've got like a really pretty rest of the necklace done. Basically, you can use it anywhere that you would chain in your jewelry design. You can also do some other really cool things with it. I have a whole playlist with my SilverSilk projects that I will share. I am loving the way this looks so far. It is absolutely fantastic. I was just stopping to admire my work, and I hope when you guys are creating that you stop to admire your work too. Before you're even done, just when you look at it and you say, I really like what I'm making today. It's a fantastic feeling. Alright, and before I do any crimping, I'm going to double check that I haven't missed anything or skipped any spots. I've got my seed beads around my leaves. I've got my daisy spacers around my fruits. Alright, that is good enough for me. I'm going to move these guys out of the way, clean up my seed beads. I like to scooch seed beads into the little lid sometimes. It makes it a little bit easier for cleanup. And then I don't have to go find my bead scoop. And also, if a couple of beads get stuck in the lid, you can screw it right on there, and it's good to go, right? Okay, so we've got this guy. I've got a couple of ends. I'm going to be crimping right onto the SilverSilk ends so that I don't have to use jump rings or anything like that. You can use jump rings. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just an extra step. And right now I am just going to go directly onto the cord ends with my wire. And I'm going to grab my crimp tube, stick it on here, put it through my cord end, and then go back through my crimp tube. Just going to scooch this up along here. Right. And this is how you do a magical crimper. I'm going to go through it with you once, and then we'll just do the other one on its own. You need 0.018 or 0.019 wire. This medium beading wire from Softflex is 0.019. And 2x2 crimp tubes. Then you just want to center your crimp right here in this concavity. Make sure it's centered, give it a smush, and that smushes down just the corners of that. It kind of flattens it out, smushes it down, but it still has this like little bulb in the middle. And then if you turn it to another angle and smush it, then another angle and smush it, and you just keep turning it at different angles, make sure it's still centered in there. Then those corners from where it first smushed it, those sharp little corners, they get smoothed out, and you're left with just a round little ball of crimp that's very secure. Alright, so let's scooch you guys down there. Scooch. Scooch. There you go. But yeah, the yellow wire was discontinued, so I have been carefully hoarding this and pulling it out for appropriate occasions like this. attach this to that side, go through there. I'm just going to compare it with this other loop to see if they're about the same size, and they are. I'm also going to give this a bit of a curve. Yes, perfect. That's about where I want it to be. And you just want to make sure that there's a little bit of space between your last bead and your crimp, so that there's room for the crimp to get around the crimp and not smush that bead. Because you can absolutely break a bead by crimping too close to it. There we go, second one's done. Now I already measured out the lengths of the SilverSilk that I want to use. So let me see. Over here, it's about 20 centimeters, which is about 8 inches, something like that. So I've got 2 of these, and then this measures about 21 centimeters. So should be a decent sized necklace. Not super long, but not super short either when we get that all said and done. Now, like I said before, I like using these pliers for attaching my SilverSilk. They just work better in there. But what I want to do is get these balls, because this is a ball chain, so we've got 1 ball here and 1 ball there. I want to get at least 2 of these balls into the opening here. And there's a little tooth, a lip right there, that it's going to catch onto the balls. And sometimes there's some extra wire stuck to the edges, or just loosely attached to the edges after cutting it. You can knock those away, or use your pliers to pull them away. But now I'm going to hold this, I'm going to hold this in this plier like this, and wedge this guy in there. Like I said, at least 2 balls for the ball chain, and then give this a healthy smush to close it down. Make sure that that's closed. And then I always like to do just a little pull test, because sometimes it'll seem like it's in here and it's not, and it'll just slide right out. And so in that case, you want to open it up and do it again if you are working on that. So let's get the other gun in here, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the other side too. But these ones are not attached to anything yet. And then after that's in there, this is the second length that I had cut. It's not attached to that yet. Actually, there's a little bit of space between the edge of that last ball and this wire here. So let's just snip that, make sure it'll fit in nicely. It's pretty easy to clean up these little bits that end up on your bead mat. I just use a bead scoop and just kind of scrape it against the side of it, and they come right up, and then you can just toss them. All right, 2 balls deep. Put that in there. Give it a squeeze. Give it a tug, and that's connected. All right, let's do it on the other side too. Make sure our edges are good. And there are these the SilverSilk branding marks on there. So I'm just trying to make sure that we're going to have our branding sides facing the same way on that. That one's good. Let's do that. Where's my branding side? There it is. Branding side up on that side. So I'm going to have this up that way, that branding side up. See how quick this is? Give it a little smush. But yeah, this pearlesque chain, I cannot remember where I got it from. It was either in a kit, or it might have been part of the Jesse James Beads collaborations or something like that. In fact, that's probably what it was, but it is this really, really lovely orangey color, and I love it so much. And it just goes so perfectly with these to bring out your orangey colors. I know there's some flat mesh that's a similar color. It's the amber flat mesh on Sam's Bead Shop, and that would work as well. You need a different connector for that sort of thing. A flat mesh connector, which they have at the SilverSilk site. So I'm just going to open a jump ring for this end and close it right on here, because that is something that can be used to close it. And then on this one, I'm going to open a jump ring and then attach this lobster clasp. I always check my lobster clasps to make sure they work before I attach them. Just because, like, it's only happened like once out of all of the times that I've made things that I attached a lobster clasp and then found out that it didn't work. So maybe it's just me being paranoid. But if you've never opened jump rings before, if you're new to jewelry making, this is how you do it. You hold it one side steady, and I'm just doing that with my, you can use another pair of pliers. Then with your chain nose pliers, give it a twist like that, and it just opens it up. You don't want to pull out, just twist to the side, and it opens it up like that. And then you can put on the things that you want to attach together, like the cord end and my clasp. And then you hold on to that side, keep it steady, and then use your pliers to twist it closed again until both of those edges meet. And you know that it's good and closed. All right. So there we go. I told you it was a quick project. It's a very citrusy necklace using some SilverSilk. And again, those beads from Sam's Bead Box. I'll put links to Sam's Bead Box and Sam's Bead Shop in the description below. I'll put a link to SilverSilk in the description below. And I hope y'all are having a fantastic week. And I will talk with you later. Happy beading!